Hello fellow travelers, my name is SG and welcome to the channel. Today, since next week's Halloween, I thought it'd be something interesting to follow something that's in the horror genre, but not quite in the horror genre, since it's almost Halloween, but not quite Halloween. Today we're going to start talking about a review of Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. This is a combination of all those old school horror movies such as Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, but adding the comedy styles of Abbott and Costello. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Now, since I am aware that most people probably know who Dracula, Wolfman, and Frankenstein are, I thought at least I would like to talk about who Abbott and Costello are. Back in the 1940s and 1950s, they were a comedy duo known for their vaudeville act, live on stage, and soon grew synonymous for this said act, and later on got their own shows, movie specials, and as we'll see this, bigger Hollywood movies that were big budget, but still fun to enjoy for all audiences. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about the actors and the performances, let's get on to about what this movie's about anyway. The overall story is that Abbott and Costello play two delivery men who are meant to deliver a wax statue of the Frankenstein monster to a place known as McDougal's House of Horrors. Though it is just a wax museum, we do see him collect a lot of horror memorabilia, such as the casket of one known as Dracula. But as we later find out early in the movie, we meet Lawrence Talbot, known as Larry Talbot in this version, who is trying to warn the delivery man not to deliver these objects because it really is the body of the Frankenstein monster and the casket really is holding Count Dracula, who are planning to make a comeback at the end of a masquerade ball. Now, that is the overall story. I will not reveal anything more after that. I do feel that you should go see the movie. It is funny. It is old-timey funny, slapstick and all that. And it is definitely worth the time to watch. I do recommend that you buy the DVD on Amazon, but you can also find it on the Amazon Prime, I believe, app. I do remember seeing it there last. You can also try YouTube being a good source of clips from the movie, but if I were you, I'd just buy it. It is a fun movie to have, and it does come with other movies of like Abbott and Costello meet The Mummy. But for now, we're just gonna focus on the Frankenstein because it is the bigger of all of the other projects. Now, I will be the first to tell you the effects are very cheesy. They are of their time. They won't break the bank nowadays, but they are very practical. They are very cartoonish, but they are very well done and make you reminisce about the era in which they come from. There is some slight cartoonish elements to it, like when Dracula transforms into, his bat form and back to his Dracula form. There is a small, cartoon animation to it, and it does make me laugh every time I see it. The use of lightning for the Frankenstein monster is there. It is very funny. It's very interesting. Though they do keep the original aesthetic for the Wolfman when he would transform. I remember Lon Chaney Jr. saying that he had to sit in the chair for several hours just to get the full effects on camera of transforming into a werewolf. It shows, and it's very intricate and well done. And it is a common thing we see nowadays. It's often what Nicolas Cage referred to when he would do the Ghost Rider movie. He said he wanted to have that kind of effect for Ghost Rider, the same as Lon Chaney Jr. had doing the Wolfman character. So overall, the effects are cheesy, and if you do not care for that old-time effect, it will throw you out of the movie. But for some of us who do love those little touches, it's very fun and very innovative for the time. The characters are very well done. Abbott and Costello come in as their traditional characters of Abbott being the straight man, Costello being the silly one. But it is kind of added to the original horror aspect. When we see Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman, they're there acting as if they are their characters, They are acting like Dracula, they are acting like Frankenstein. and they are acting like Wolfman, just in a scenario where it's sillier. It's a weird mix, but it works. They're trying to play it straight, but at the same time, they're trying not to play it straight. It's one of those ideas where, like, can I be serious in a funny movie? And it does come off as that. They do not act as watered down versions of their original selves. They come in as Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman. That's who they are. They're not trying to be anything else, not a watered down version, not a goofier version, and they're not trying to pander to an audience. They are coming in as the characters they are meant to portray, which is something very interesting, which I think a lot of people miss. The idea isn't that these characters are goofier or they're sillier, it's that they are their characters just in an odd situation. They are Dracula stuck in an Abbott and Costello movie, a slapstick movie, a silly movie, and that's where the comedy really comes from, and that's where horror comedy is supposed to be. It's supposed to be this mix of a surrealism that, like, these creatures, these monsters, are the monsters. They're the characters that we fear. They're the monsters that we know. It's just that they're tossed in a situation that they're not comfortable in, that they're not familiar in, that they're just played for the laughs. And I think that's where the idea of a horror comedy really resides in, you know? And they play this off very well. The characters are never once just there for comedy reasons. They may do a Scooby-Doo sequence, but they will never be acting silly. They will be acting like their characters. And it complements the Abbott and Costello to think that Abbott and Costello are themselves trapped in a horror movie, when they're really not. It's a horror movie monsters trapped in a comedy. So overall, the acting is very well done. The characters are very well done, and the lines and the script is very well done in itself. It's definitely something that I love to go back to and watch again and again, just to see how I change in my opinions as it goes along. Now, for the reference, I'm gonna say only 3. But, well, actually, I'm gonna say 4, because this 4th one comes in at the end. But I'm gonna say the first 3 are the biggest 3 of the movie. And that is Lon Chaney Jr. as Wolfman, Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and Glenn Strange as Frankenstein's monster. Now, these are the biggest actors in horror movie history, and they are references to themselves. Bela Lugosi was always the original Dracula. Lon Chaney Jr. was always the original Wolfman. And it's so funny to see them in this situation that's so out of their realm in context of their original movies. But it works. You can see that they cared about this movie to a degree, that they weren't just doing it for a paycheck, they were doing it because they were passionate about the characters and probably loved the Abbott and Costello style. This just shows, like, how the directors, the producers, and then the actors themselves really felt about this project. And it's interesting that they got these icons because even at the time they were the icons. They were Frankenstein, they were Dracula, and they were the Wolfman. And even at the end, we get one final character coming in to play as a joke, but it was still well done, and that was the Invisible Man, voiced by Vincent Price. I'm sure everyone knows who Vincent Price is, and to know that he does love doing silly movies or B-list movies. But this was one with, as I said, all these other actors. This was, or can still be considered, the biggest crossover event of its era, which is really neat to think about, which is a really fun idea overall, to see all these iconic creatures and actors reprise their roles just for an Abbott and Costello movie. Overall, this is still a really fun movie, even after seeing it after all these years. I see it like once every couple years and it never gets old. This is something that's very lighthearted, very interesting, very fun, and it knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time it respects the characters from these other properties. Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney Jr. definitely deliver as their characters. They definitely reprise the roles very well and are very to the movie. They never dumb it down, they never act like they shouldn't, you know, not making themselves dumbed down or being silly, but keeping their respected roles to how people would know them and remember these characters. This is a fun movie and it respects the audience, is pretty much the gist of what I'm saying. This is very fun, it's very lighthearted, and I do recommend it to anybody who's looking for a good time in a movie. Even if the effects are a little on the cheesier end. But these are movies from the 1950s, it's what you're gonna get. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this is not quite a Halloween movie, but it is a Halloween movie. Again, I've noticed that I'm at 37 subscribers. I would like to thank all of them for sticking around and maybe even watching most of my videos. I do appreciate it. But let's see if we can get to 50 before Halloween comes through. I really hope we can. So, with that being said, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below. Alright, hope you have a great day and see you later.